Okay, so today's topic, we're going to be talking about Shaquille O'Neal. He went to Instagram stories, and had a picture of Kevin Durant and the top things Kevin Durant accomplished with the Brooklyn Nets ever since he left the Golden State Warriors. And the top 3 accomplishments were blank 1, blank 2, blank 3. Now, I talked about this in several videos as well as live streams. Still to this day, I still feel the same way I felt when news broke out that Kevin Durant was going to choose the Brooklyn Nets over the Golden State Warriors. Kevin Durant chose his friendship with Kyrie Irving, and he felt that was more important than re-up and re-signing with the Golden State Warriors. That decision has already been proven very successful to Kevin Durant's legacy. But Kevin Durant wanted to go to the Brooklyn Nets, and a couple of years after the fact, still to this day, I feel like that was a bad move for Kevin Durant, and it wasn't the best solid basketball decision. He chose friendship over making the right basketball decision. He fit perfectly with the Golden State Warriors. I understand that him and Steve Kerr didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things on the court, and he was not too pleased with the Golden State medical staff okaying him to go into a game and get re-injured. And even though those isolated incidents were irritating to Kevin Durant, I thought over time they would be dissolved, and either Kevin Durant and the Golden State organization will agree to disagree, or just agree in together. But nevertheless, he chose his friendship over making the best basketball decision. He chose the Splash Brothers to the Dribble Brothers. He chose not to go with Kyrie Irving and Chef Curry, which already proven to be a great situation and fit perfectly with Kevin Durant. He decided to go with the Dribble Brothers, Kyrie Irving, and then a year or two later, I believe they gotten James Harden. He chose the Dribble Brothers over the Splash Brothers. And still to this day, I still feel like that was the wrong decision Kevin Durant has made. I understand what Shaquille O'Neal is trying to illustrate. He's basically going to have to prove that this was the best opportunity and the best basketball decision, signing with the Brooklyn Nets, than just staying with the Golden State Warriors. He's going to have to do what LeBron James ultimately had to do when he left the Miami Heat. He will have to win one. He will have to win one to validate that decision. If LeBron James would have won those 2 titles with the Miami Heat and then went back to Cleveland and didn't win anything, and then went to the Los Angeles Lakers and still didn't win anything, that would have definitely tarnished and hurt his legacy. People 10, 20, 30 years from now are going to say, well, the only reason why he got those 2 chips in the first place is because he paired up and created a super team. He didn't know the methods. He didn't know how to win a championship. He went to an organization that was proven that they have won multiple championships. Not to mention the fact he paired up with D. Wade, and they got Chris Bosh along the way, and he didn't know how to put it together as far as winning a successful championship. And when he left the Miami Heat and went back to Cleveland and would have went back to Los Angeles, he won diddly squat. The system ultimately got LeBron James those 2 chips, which it in actuality, it did. Kevin Durant is in the same type of situation that LeBron James found himself when he left Miami. He will have to show and prove and show to the world that he can win titles on his own as well. He didn't need a Fortune 500 organization that was highly successful as far as being a success on the NBA level. Got a multitude of championships. You got Pat Riley in your corner. You got I forgot the owner's name for the Miami Heat. I do apologize. You got him in your corner. You got a well-run organization, and they do it the Miami Heat way. And it has been proven time and time again. Don't believe me? 2 years ago, the Miami Heat went to the NBA Finals with Jimmy Butler, as well as a cast of other characters. And they went up against LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers in that shortened season. That same shortened season, they had a break in between seasons. And they played the rest of the playoff games in one bubble, in one stadium, as well as playing the NBA Finals the exact same way. If all things were equal, who knows if the Los Angeles Lakers would have made it that far. And you can also say, well, who knows if the Miami Heat would have made it that far either. But if you look at the Miami Heat today, fast forward 2 years down the road, today, the Miami Heat has proven that they are legit. They have a chance and an opportunity to make it to the NBA Finals with the same cast of characters. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Lakers couldn't even make it into the postseason. They couldn't even make it into the play-in tournament. How bad the Los Angeles Lakers got. And that's where Kevin Durant is. He's in that same situation. He's going to have to show the NBA world that he can win a title without the services of a well-run organization of the Golden State Warriors, of a Hall of Fame player as well as coach, soon-to-be coach, in Steve Kerr, without the services of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and that system that they ran. He's going to have to prove it. He's going to have to prove that he can be very successful and he can win without all those other things in place. The whole reason why Kevin Durant left is he chose his friendship and had fully trusted Kyrie Irving, and he felt that him and Kyrie Irving can do some extraordinary things and as far as winning a title. And they had several runs at it. But due to Kyrie Irving really didn't want to be committed, didn't want to play a full season with the Brooklyn Nets in the first place, due to Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant didn't feel like they had the right head coach, even though that head coach took that team to the playoffs without a superstar, and did it again with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, with the comments Kyrie Irving said, we need to reevaluate and reshape this team. They traded away all their draft capital, those players that they have been developing over a course of time, for a James Harden. For James Harden to play 2 full seasons, and you didn't get nothing in return from him, and you gave up all of those players and those draft picks for James Harden. And then James Harden basically quit on the team after last year, when he had issues with Kyrie Irving, this year of missing several games due to COVID protocols. And James Harden felt like, look, I don't see this guy being very committed and being very available for the Brooklyn Nets. I need to take my talents to the Philadelphia 76ers. They made that trade, even though I feel like at the end of the day, the Brooklyn Nets won, in my opinion, that trade at that particular time, getting Ben Simmons as well as some players. In return, you're giving up an older James Harden that wants to have a max contract. And how can an older James Harden contribute to the Brooklyn Nets, even when they bring Kyrie Irving back into the fold of things? You have the dysfunction with Kyrie Irving and James Harden. Even though I felt like they won that trade, still, at the end of the day, they didn't accomplish diddly squat in that trade either. So the hottest of seats right now is Kevin Durant. Next year is this is it for Kevin Durant. If Kevin Durant does not take the Brooklyn Nets to the NBA Finals, a lot of people are going to reevaluate what they really thought of Kevin Durant. I think his legacy is going to be extremely tarnished. I think his credibility, as well as other things, as far as him being very thin-skinned, particularly when people are very critical of him in social media as well as sports media. Not a very friendly individual. I mean, he's still going to get his come-ups. People are going to still consider him a great player. People are going to still go back and look that he did win Finals MVP and won two titles with the Golden State Warriors. Go people are going to also say that he wouldn't have won those two titles if he didn't go to the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors were already set in stone. People are going to forget that Draymond Green, when he lost in the NBA Finals to the Cleveland Cavaliers, ran to his car crying on the phone and trying to recruit Kevin Durant to the Golden State Warriors. People are going to look at it and they're going to switch the narrative. Kevin Durant needed the Golden State Warriors more so than the Golden State Warriors needing Kevin Durant. People are going to start pushing that agenda and that narrative about Kevin Durant. And people are going to say, well, look at the evidence. What did he do before or after him going to the Golden State Warriors? He didn't do nothing when he was in OKC. He went to the Golden State Warriors, was very successful there. He left the Golden State Warriors, went to the Brooklyn Nets, and hasn't done diddly squat with the Brooklyn Nets. And when I mean diddly squat, winning the title, Finals MVP. People are going to be looking at him extremely differently, particularly if the Golden State Warriors make it to the NBA Finals, which is a high probability that they're going to make it into the NBA Finals with their matchup with the Dallas Mavericks. But think about it, folks. The Golden State Warriors, if they make it to the NBA Finals, I feel like that has sealed Kevin Durant's fate. They made it to the finals before they made it to the finals, and Kevin Durant is trying to make it into the Eastern Conference Finals. People are going to be looking at Kevin Durant moving forward very differently and have different lenses on Kevin Durant. And a lot of people are going, and you're going to be hearing you're going to hear narratives of, well, is Kevin Durant really that good? Let's look at his profile. Before the Golden State Warriors, he wasn't really doing anything as far as going into the NBA Finals. He had one opportunity with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They got beat by the Miami Heat by LeBron James earlier in his career. If you want to call that a huge accomplishment. Went to the Golden State Warriors. That version of Kevin Durant, people talk more about that version of Kevin Durant going to the Golden State Warriors than Kevin Durant being with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Left the Golden State Warriors, went to the Brooklyn Nets, and hasn't really made it. Definitely hasn't made it into the finals. People are going to really look at Kevin Durant very differently next year. I think the hot seat is on for Kevin Durant. He's going to have to really show and prove. Not only to me personally, not only he has to make it into the NBA Finals next season, but he has to win it. Win that series with whoever he's playing against. And if the Golden State Warriors this year not only make it to the NBA Finals but win it, it's going to really hurt his legacy. People are going to be talking about him and looking at him differently. And like Charles Barkley said, there's a difference between the person that's driving the bus and the person that's riding the bus. And as of right now, Kevin Durant is starting to look like that individual that is sitting back and riding in the bus, not driving the bus. And I think that's the point Charles Barkley was making when we was very critical of him when he made those statements some time ago. But ultimately, Kevin Durant, when Kevin Durant was with the Golden State Warriors, I remember Shannon Sharp saying this on Undisputed. Kevin Durant is, if the Golden State Warriors were New Edition, the R&B group, Kevin Durant would be Johnny Gill. He's not Ralph. He's not Bobby. He's not Ricky Bell. He's not DeVoe. He's not Biv Bell. He's none of those guys. He's not the original five. He's the sixth member of the boy band. Extremely talented, just like Johnny Gill. Johnny Gill is the better singer of New Edition. Has better vocals than anyone on New Edition. But he's not the originator of the first five. Every city that those guys go into, the original five are going to get more cheers than Johnny Gill. But Johnny Gill knows that. He understands that. And that's why there's no friction between Johnny Gill and New Edition. Kevin Durant could not swallow and accept the fact that Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson are always going to get the biggest cheers, the biggest applause. They're going to be respected heavily more in their hometown than Kevin Durant. And that really bothered Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant could not understand that. Kevin, those guys were drafted to the Golden State Warriors. You signed to the Golden State Warriors. You're the Johnny Gill of New Edition. You're extremely talented. You're extremely the better player. But when you talk about the hometown is going to cheer for those original five, and the cheers are going to be extremely loud. The love is going to be extremely big. Now, you can accept it like Johnny Gill and just go along with the ride, or it's going to bother you. You're going to feel some type of way, and you're going to move on. And that's exactly what Kevin Durant did. And that ultimately is what's hurting Kevin Durant now. He has to show and prove this year. With a healthy Kevin Durant that's going to play the majority of the games, with a healthy Kyrie Irving, you've been fully rested this season. There's no COVID protocols you have to worry about. If he doesn't take a sabbatical without letting the organization know, or even his teammates know, if he just extremely invests in next season, and if you really believe what he said on Twitch, that he's more mature now, on top of the situation with Ben Simmons, the Brooklyn Nets got a big major decision this offseason. Does Ben Simmons want to be here in Brooklyn? Is he fully going to commit with Brooklyn? And I have told you, and I've done a lot of videos and a lot of live streams, and I told you guys, Ben Simmons is a West Coast guy. His ultimate dream is to go to the West Coast. Whether it's Sacramento, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Golden State Warriors, or the Lakers. He doesn't care as long as it's West Coast. I feel like Sean Marks and the organization of the Brooklyn Nets need to figure out and have discussions with Kevin Durant. With Ben Simmons and his representative, which is Rich Paul. Okay, guys, moving forward, are you committed with us, or do you have other aspirations? Let's just go ahead and break the ice and just settle it right now. If Ben Simmons is totally committed and he wants to stay in Brooklyn, you got Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving, your new big three. That's a fully healthy and rested Ben Simmons, a fully healthy and rested Kyrie Irving. That's going to do a lot of amazing things for Brooklyn. And then they're going to sign accordingly with that big three. And they're going to do some extraordinary things next season. Steve Nash, this is his swan song. If he does not get this team into the NBA Finals, he's a goner. No matter how much of a relationship he has with Sean Marks, he's a goner. If he can't get this team where they're supposed to be. And if you look at the East next season, the Milwaukee Bucks are a little bit older with that original cast. They definitely need some new parts along the way. The 76ers, are they going to max out James Harden? And if they max out James Harden, what does that mean for the rest of the roster? Obviously, Doc Rivers, this is his last season as a coach, as the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. He's going to have to win it all as well. If he doesn't, he's out as the coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't think the Miami Heat is going anywhere, but you got a lot of guys on that roster that feel like they're the man, and they may push the organization as far as them going to another organization and leading that organization because they feel like they're the man. Who knows? Maybe they can somehow internally keep that original cast together. If there's no swollen egos on the Miami Heat, I suspect the Miami Heat are going to be status quo, and they're going to be a problem for the Brooklyn Nets as well as the Milwaukee Bucks. If you look at the Boston Celtics, if everything remains status quo with the Boston Celtics, which they have a lot of key guys on that team that may go elsewhere. But if they can keep their team, just like they're in the same similar situation as the Miami Heat, who knows? So if you look at the Brooklyn Nets, what's really standing in your way is the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics, if they can keep their internal parts and add on. They're going to be extremely issues for the Brooklyn Nets. But Kevin Durant, this is it, buddy. This is it. If you do not get this team where they're supposed to be, then this is really going to tarnish your reputation as well as your legacy and your career. You're still going to go to the Hall of Fame, but people are going to be looking at you extremely differently if you do not get the job done next year. I'm up out of here. Sorry for the long video. I'll talk to you guys later. Deuces.